DLS Wave, and we're back again. We're trying to take a new approach. Due to scheduling, we cannot meet at the same place as we used to do. But we're gonna get back to that. But we've been scouring the internet, and we chanced up on Herbert Baidoo, the New Force Movement, the financial analyst. He's back again doing content as we predicted they should do, or we suggested they should do, because this is where most of the youth spend their time. So he's back creating content. So we're gonna go see some of the things he's been talking about, and we are gonna react to it. So stay close.
Foreign aid. Can our country sustain itself without aid? No. No, because we do not have the financial capacity. If the whole world crashed and we were to rebuild again, and you were the only survivor, and you lived on a different planet, and you could see all the continents in your palm with the resources therein, Africa would be the last continent you'd think that they would need any aid from any other continent. And so, to answer that question, we've never ever had the need for foreign aid. However, because we've not had competent leadership, functional leadership, and a leadership that truly cares about the people, we've had to fall on foreign aid for many decades. And even with that, you've had more money moving out of Africa every year in the last 50 years than there is coming in. You see, since 2012, there's been over 80 to 100 billion dollars of money moving out of Africa. This is capital flight. These are monies that we can't trace. These are monies that we can't account for. They are monies that have been gained from corrupt activities. They are 10 times bigger than the amount we receive from USAID, from the IMF, from the World Bank, from Japanese grants. These are the issues that we need to address. When we begin to think of self-sufficiency, we can ignite that part of our brain cells that pushes us to do good for ourselves.
All right. He said a lot. He said a lot. But my first question would be, where is he going with this? Why this kind of content? I'm trying to see where his mindset is. Is he trying to encourage the youth to do something about the current situation in Ghana? Is he talking directly to the government of Ghana? Where is he going with this kind of content?
I somebody needs to say, right? Somebody needs to highlight all the issues that is going on with the country itself, especially with the financial side, because some of us are teachers and died long time ago. So somebody needs to wake that mind up. And I like the fact that he's quite young and he's raising these critical issues, because it's about time. I've been asking myself this question for some years now. Why is it that we can give aid with all the resources we have, but rather we are quick to receive aid, but yet those monies, which are not enough anyways, are not being spent in the right way? So somebody needs to ask the question. It's a critical question somebody needs to ask, and we need answers to. So I don't know, this is my opinion. I know where he's going with. He's trying to wake all of us up, especially the youth.
Yeah, but I mean, people are gonna say the exact same thing I'm thinking. They'll be like, we've been hearing this for ages, right? I mean, what is really new? So, I mean, when they were campaigning, it was the same thing. They were talking about, like the inequality in the, wealth gap, underdeveloped regions, domicile regions that we need to reactivate, blah, blah, blah. So this is what I'm trying to say. What is really going to change now? Getting on these kind of platforms and pretty much repeating the same rhetoric, right? Or should he rather spend his time, as they started doing, go back to the grassroots and start indoctrinating people? about how to go about the next election.
I think is what he's doing is we can also call it part of a campaign
Mm-hmm.
because by law you can do things on the ground, but you can't campaign legally because I think there's a time when
Mm.
campaigning is allowed. So, and then again, we are in the computer age, right? Technology has advanced a lot. So the easiest way to reach people, be it
Mm-hmm.
ordinary people, grassroots, or governments, is to put it on air. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to hibernate, but in a loud way, to conscientize people and to send a message out there. So I think that and to your question, I think he's targeting his message is multi-pronged. I think he's targeting ordinary people and he's targeting the government as well. He's trying to send a message that you're still I mean, if we continue on the same path, nothing is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Because you remember
Mm-hmm.
he asked a question, can we survive? Can our economy survive on aid? And he answered no. And he gave an explanation. So I think he's trying to send a message to the leadership that hey, if we continue on this path, nothing will change.
Yeah, but he also made like a good revelation. He was talking about the amount of aid that comes into Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure he mentioned that, but I think I quite remember President Dramani Mahama, he was talking at a town hall meeting, and he said I think the USAID, I think
Mm-hmm.
Ghana gets about $179 million per
Mm-hmm.
year.
Right.
So in contrast, if you hear what Herbert talked or stated that over almost 80 to $100 billion
Mm-hmm.
leaves the continent per year.
Yeah.
And if you think about a country like Ghana, right, getting 179 million, that is literally nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about the way people are kind of like, going about the whole thing about, you say Trump saying he's going to get all these countries off of USAID, and people are kind of freaking out and saying Trump is, crazy, quote unquote. If you think about that, it's like, can Ghana really not afford to not take $179 million from the US each year? Can't we sustain ourselves without the USAID funds?
I think
We
I
can.
think let me put it this way. I think that we've just been spoiled over the years because every government and every year, every budget
Mm-hmm.
makes provision for that because they know is an amount that will come, is a constant amount that will come.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they are preparing the budget, it is a very easy place to budget for because someone has promised and it always comes.
Mm-hmm.
So we've not really had the people at the helm, they've not really had the chance or the opportunity to think about replacing that. And this Trump thing came in all of a sudden. And to your question, I think that I've always held the view that there are individuals in Ghana who have more than that money. There are some of the wealthy people who are worth over 170
Mm-hmm.
whatever 200 million dollars. So that amount of money for a country like Ghana, I should be bold to say it's no money to Ghana. I don't think it's that much money. It's just that we've been spoiled. Of course, if someone is giving it to you for free, then you appreciate it and take it. But to Ghana as a country, I don't think it's a lot of money. And I think that we should be able to find a replacement for that kind of money. Because, like I said, even individuals, you can get that money from some individuals in Ghana. So, a country like Ghana, with all the resources we have, we shouldn't cry over this. I don't think it's a big deal. If we're
Mm-hmm.
really managing our things well, I don't think this should call for any cry. I think only lazy people at the helm will complain about whatever million dollars. I mean, if someone gives it to you, fine, you use it. But if it's not coming, we can find it. Basically, I think it shouldn't be a problem for Ghana.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get back into the video.
Okay, let's see what else Herbert has to tell us.
Mm-hmm.
Pushes us to fix the loopholes in our system. Foreign aid, without a doubt, has done serious damage and harm to Ghana and the continent of Africa as a whole. Any money coming into this land, any money coming into Ghana has been planned to generate a higher return for the sender of that money. You see, once you begin to think of self sufficiency, once we realize that we can do everything ourselves, we have the capacity to produce what we need domestically, we have the capacity to produce what we wear, what we sit on, the machines we use, then we can begin to think what type of leadership we need. We can begin to think what type of systems to put in place to make these things possible. But the moment we have a feeling that there is this country elsewhere that is able to provide us with aid, then we cannot achieve anything. They are happy to give us 1 billion out of the tens of billions that they extract in mineral resources from our continent. They are happy to give us $100 million through USAID every year out of the 1 billion they extract from the continent. We have to advise ourselves. We have to sit up as a nation and as a continent to rise up and feed ourselves, number one, to produce what we need, to produce what we wear, to produce the machines that we use. Africa is producing all the cobalt we use in our mobile phones. Africa is producing the nickel. Africa is producing the gold. Africa is expected to have or projected to have more than 1.5 billion of its population under 25 years by 2050.
All right, so Herbert is really schooling us on a lot of things because one thing he said that really kind of like, made a lot of sense to me is the idea that the aid we think they're sending is more like an investment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is your take on that?
So, okay, let me take.
Is it really aid? Are they really trying to help the continent, or it's more like an investment to actually protect their so-called, interests?
Honestly, my personal view is nobody gives you anything for free anymore. Especially in the current dispensation, in the current state of the world economy. Not even currently, but since like a decade ago, those days where you get handouts and NGOs coming in and donating things and all, those days are gone. For a long time, it's all been business. And if you go deeper, you would realize that most countries' economies are basically run by the big business people, the bourgeoisie, the multinationals. They're the ones who control the economy, not the government. And so if these companies or organizations contribute to the government, which in turn contributes to developing countries, there's someone at the source who wants a return for what they're donating or what they're giving. Because I don't think that almost all the monies that we get from foreign aid comes from the governments. No, because the governments have responsibility. So they get these monies from different big corporations, big organizations, because these corporations, when they help the government, they get benefits. I mean, deals, contracts, and stuff. So at the end of the day, they want their money back, or they want to gain some profits back. And so it has never been, I don't think it has been about, oh, you are poor or you need help and we're just helping you. No. And we see it in evidence. There are foreign companies mining our minerals, doing farming and all kinds of stuff. And the money is repatriated. When the money is repatriated out of a country, where is it going? Is it not going back to these sources? So it just makes me believe that no one is giving anything for free. And so if it's been taken away, like he's saying, we just have to find a way to replenish it. And he also mentioned that it is a wake-up call for us. It's good for us because it will make us wake from our slumber.
So, I wanted to throw a different question at you, but it's okay. Keep going.
Yeah, it's also easy for look at the monies they are mentioning, billions. So giving you $1 million is nothing to me. If I'm exploiting you, and I've been doing it for ages, and every year I have to give you $1 million to let you feel like I do care about you, It's in Ghana we say chain bottom. It's nothing. A million to those countries and foundations and whatever. A million is nothing because we know what they get. As in, like, look at Ghana. We are one of, I think, in West Africa, most diversified economies in West Africa. We have our gold, our oil, our cocoa, you can list them, right? How much do we make from these resources? That a million, 10 billion or 10 million, sorry, from USA or any aid. Just a year, our cocoa can sort us if we have proper leadership. So if they keep taking what they know you don't value or you don't know how to use it, giving you back some chicken chain, it's never and would never be a problem to them.
And sorry, not to cut you, to add to that, once you keep getting that money, it makes you lazy, so you will always depend on them.
Yes.
That's another thing. So you will not think of growing or doing it yourself. You will always be reliant and waiting for someone to come and give it to you, and that makes them keep having that access for many, many years.
Be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a kid who gets, money from their dad all the time. I mean, where is the incentive for that kid to get out and look for a job, right? He'll always be waiting for his dad or his pops to send him some money. So in this case, you get too comfortable. So I actually also like that idea that, I mean, Trump is getting us off of this. I mean, of course, it's going to affect a lot of things, right? People who are beneficiaries, whether it be in the healthcare sector or education sector, they're going to have to kind of find new ways to do it. But that's the whole point. Once you get to a place of discomfort, then you're forced to act. You get independent. But when you stay in your comfort zone, nothing really changes. So for me, also, I see it as a positive thing because it's interesting. When I went on YouTube, there were a lot of people commenting in the comment section talking about how good this is. I mean, this is like amazing. This is the best thing that could happen to Africa.
I agree.
By blocking or stopping the aid so that we can actually try and sustain ourselves. So I think it depends on who you talk to. If you're a beneficiary, you'll be like, okay, this sucks, right? But then if you're somebody who's going through, a regular average person's lifestyle, you would be like, yeah, it's about time we kind of sit up and do things for ourselves. So I guess let's get back to the video and see what else Hubert has got for us.
Enormous potential waiting for us as a continent. And if we continue to rely on foreign aid and foreign assistance, we cannot see the treasure that we hold. We have not built capacity to sustain ourselves as it stands. We have not built structures that are sustainable, that are self-reinforcing, and structures that are run by Ghanaian people that are beneficial to the people of Ghana. And so within the next 1 to 4 years or 5 years, it will be very difficult for our country to survive without grants and foreign assistance. However, if we put in place radical structural and economic adjustments, I keep saying these, if we are able to implement radical structural and economic adjustments, we can sustain this economy. If we are able to contain our debt and aggressively limit external debt, we can sustain this economy. If we are able to contain inflation, if we are able to be fiscally disciplined and limit the amount of money government is printing or the Bank of Ghana is printing every now and then, we will do well. In 2023, we spent close to 700 million Ghana cedis just on currency printing. 700 million Ghana cedis. And this is why we say in our pillars that we have a need to build capacity to print money ourselves, to print our notes ourselves. Once we are able to go into security printing at that scale, we can do it for other African countries. Africa has to think of sustaining itself. Africa has to be self reliant. We are the least continent that anybody would think of to not be self reliant. It's a shock to the whole world. And I would agree with Tony Blair, who said that Africa remains a scar in the conscience of humanity. Whether we like it or not, it's a fact.
Yeah, I remember that statement Tony Blair made. It also
Mm-hmm.
blew up like a whole storm. But
Yeah.
I think again, Trump made a similar statement probably last year, a couple of years ago, about Africa being like, an S-hole, if you guys remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, people started, going crazy about Trump, not being diplomatic and not having a sense of decorum, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like sometimes you just gotta call a spade a spade. It's like it wakes people up. If you got a cousin, a brother who's getting fat, you gotta call him fat. You gotta say, hey, you're getting fat. No need to be like, yo, I see you putting a little bit of weight. No, just go straight to the point. And people do not like that because the truth is supposed to make you feel uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
personally, if you ask me, whatever he's saying, he's on point. But for me, my only thing that kind of like baffles me, it's like, how does a young person like Herbert understands all these, ins and
Mm-hmm.
outs and, all these dynamics? But it's like our leaders do not, either they do not see it or they just don't care. Like he says, they do not have the political will. Which is it?
Herbert is an economist, and we have economists who are handling our
Mm-hmm.
country. They all know all these principles, and I believe they all know what the problems are. But I feel like I always say, I think we just don't have people who have the political, not the political way, the willingness to take the bull by the horns. We
Mm-hmm.
are so used to the status quo that anyone who comes in just picks the playbook and they just keep flipping the pages and reinventing the same thing. And that is why we lost the chance of getting people like Cheddar or Kene Japan,
Mm-hmm.
who at least when in their campaign the message was different from what we were hearing before. And it's unfortunate that we never sit down to reason to bring such people into the limelight. But talking about people currently in government or previous governments not knowing these things, they know these things. I think we've just, like I said, we've just been spoiled for so long. Like you said, if a dad keeps giving his son money, he will not have any incentive to go out and look for a job. That's what has happened to us. People engage in corrupt practices with impunity. The government goes out of power. We'll prosecute them. Nothing happens. Another 4 years comes. And so it's not an issue of them not knowing. It's just an issue of them not willing to do anything about it because they are the top. They are enjoying. And let me just add this, and that's why I like what the current president is doing about a constitutional review something. A lot of people have said it before, and I think the constitution needs to be reviewed because it's causing a lot of damage, especially in Ghana. Public officials can do anything they want, and nothing happens to them. So, in short, they all know these things. They just don't have the political will or love for country, like my man Stephen always says, to do anything about it. As simple as that. That's my opinion.
All right, Mysterious. Last take and then we wrap this up.
He said it all. For me, I've always, hammered that we need leaders with the will to do things. It is not the now. For me, I've always said it is not the now. It is the next 5 years, the next 10 years. So you might come up with a financial plan, right? That would be a bit uncomfortable with the citizenship, right? But it is not the now. But because we are kind of, I don't know the country, I'm part of it, so we are we've given up. Like everything, let them do what they want to do. You understand? As long as I get my bread and cocoa in the morning, I'm good. So people have given, I won't say they've lost hope, but they've given up. They don't care about the country anymore. They don't care about leadership. Yes, time to vote. When it's time to vote, you see people, okay, because I belong to this party or and I like this person, then let me just vote. You understand? And that is the level we've reached now. It is going to take somebody with like hardcore leadership, like hardcore. And I
I
always
agree.
reference the Singapore leader, right?
Yeah.
I always go back. That is close. We are getting to that level where things will fall apart, and then we will get that leader that will say it is not no more a game of cards anymore. You have to dig in and do stuff.
Yeah.
Else, we are all sinking, and until that time, I don't think we will go. Mama will try and paper over the cracks, but we know what it is. You understand? And I go back to what Herbert is saying. Somebody needs to say at his age. We all know these things. We've been asking these questions for ages, right? But we are in the social media era where things should be explained. Questions should be asked, right? He doesn't need to be in power to tell us what he wants to do. But then, all he's saying, in the next 4 years, 8 years, if we vote for him, he should make sure he will implement those things. That's all.
All right, YouTube fam. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. So, yep, I think we've all kind of like given out our opinions, and this is what we do here. I mean, like, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna bring you more and more. Events like that, people and stuff and news and information going on around the world that is specifically pertaining to Africa. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it. It's the only way YouTube is going to help us push the algorithm out. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. DLS out.
Peace.